Suddenly the Howler disappeared. He was simply gone. The Draken beams no longer burned against the walls of the room. Eric stuck his head out through the door. "They're gone!" he said. Marco yanked the knife out of his stomach and began to demorph. In the time it took him to pull it out, we went from that small Iskoort room to a very different place. He was huge. No arms. Arms were irrelevant to him. He sat on what might have been a throne, or might have been part of him. I couldn't tell. Machine? Creature? Both? Or something that was neither. He turned his single huge blood-red eye and looked down at me. I was on my knees, human again, hard steel beneath me, darkness all around, but I felt a hand touching mine. The others were with me too, with me, cowering beneath the seething evil creature called Crayak. I met his gaze. I closed my eyes, but I could still see him looking at me, as he had watched me mocking in my dreams.
"We meet at last, face to face,"
Crayak said, in a low voice that vibrated through the floor, through the air, a voice so low that it seemed it would shake my very atoms apart. I kept my eyes turned away, though it did no good. I wanted to stand, but I couldn't. I was shaking. My teeth were chattering.
"What? Not so brave now, little Jake," he mocked. "Look at you, all of you, cowering. Are you frightened?"
I nodded. "Yeah, I am," I admitted in a weak voice. "But we won." And then there was a laugh that was as powerful as the awesome dread that flowed from Crayak. The big red eye snapped up, away from me. I breathed again. The laughter continued, gathering force, louder and louder and more delighted. I turned and saw the Ellimist. He was in human guise, looking like a wise old man. No more his true face than Eric's face was true. "Humans," the Ellimist said, as if he were introducing us. 5 humans, an Andalite, a Chi."
"It was a mistake allowing the Chi to escape from the doom of their Pemalite masters,"
Crayak said. "The Iskoort will live," the Ellimist said. The eye showed no expression.
"The Iskoort will live."
Then he looked at me.
"Sleep well, human," he sneered. "I'll still be there in your dreams, and someday, when the time is right, you will suffer for this."
I climbed to my feet, still holding Cassie's hand. I focused my mind on the Howler, and I began to morph. No one said anything till I was done, and when I was done I opened my Howler mind to the collective memory that linked them all. I searched for the memories we had played for the Howler. I looked in the great memory pool for some memory of what had occurred on the Iskoort planet. Nothing. Some memory of us, of 5 humans and an Andalite and a Chi and guide. But there was nothing. Crayak had destroyed the 6 remaining Howlers before those memories could poison the minds of all Howlers. He'd done what I knew, what I'd hoped he'd do. The Howlers had never been defeated, so they believed, but I knew that wasn't possible. Somewhere, somehow, someone had to have beaten them, at least once. Perfection was impossible. So if the collective memory had no trace of defeat, it could only mean that Crayak had destroyed his defeated Howlers before the memory of failure could infect them all. He might have done that many times over the millennia, always keeping the Howlers' collective memory from any taint that might weaken their innocent evil. He had no choice. A collective memory was very useful for spreading battle tactics and experience, but it was a weakness too. Crayak could not allow his murderous children to learn one simple fact, that their victims were not part of a game but real people, with dreams and hopes and loves. Crayak had acted quickly. The memories of humans and Andalites, Chi and Iskoort, had not been allowed to infect the Howler memory. Nothing had gotten through. No, not nothing. Sifting through the collective memory, through the unbroken chain of horror, I caught a single fugitive image, like a few seconds of film. Just the picture of Cassie running to me, and her arms and lips, and... I demorphed back to human, and when I had my own mouth again, I said, "You were too late, Crayak. Something got through to the Howler's collective memory."
"What?"
he demanded. "Love." We were no longer with Crayak. We were back in that weird n-dimensional space where inside was outside and nothing made any sense at all. Still, it was good to be away from Crayak. Good to be alive. "You did well," the Ellimist said. "Did well? Did well?" Marco echoed. "We kicked butt on the meanest gang in the galaxy, whipped Crayak the big nasty, saved the Iskoort, which I'm still not sure was a good thing, and planted a little sensitivity time bomb in the Howlers, and that's it?"
"Job well done, and, oh, by the way, here's your insides to look at again as we zip through Inside Out World."
"What would you like?" the Ellimist asked reasonably. "I don't know. How about a reward or something?" "How about telling us what we accomplished, if anything?" I said. "Yeah," Rachel agreed. "How about that?" Suddenly, without any warning, we were back in Cassie's barn, right where we'd been the instant before the Ellimist had whisked us off to the Iskoort planet. "What did you accomplish? No one knows the future. Not for certain. But it is now more likely than it was before that 300 years from now, the Yeerks will encounter the Iskoort. They will realize that they are related, and the Yeerks will see that there is a better way." "That's it?" Tobias asked. 3 centuries from now? How does that help us?" "It doesn't," the Ellimist said. "But within 6 months, Crayak will send a Howler force to annihilate a race called the Sharf Den. Instead of slaughtering the Sharf Den, the Howlers will try something different." The Ellimist winked. "They will attempt to kiss them. Crayak will have lost his shock troops, and the Sharf Den will... well, no one knows the future for certain. Oh, however, you may be sure that Guide is now a very, very rich Iskoort." With a laugh of pure pleasure, the Ellimist was gone. "Ha ha ha ha." "I really hate it when he does that," Tobias said. "Okay, that does it. We're never inviting him over again," Marco said. It was good winning one, a big one, and that night, when I fell asleep, the Eye of Crayak was no longer in my dreams. Instead, I dreamed about Cassie, but in my dreams I also saw that Howler, falling and falling beside me, falling still as I spread my wings and split my fate from his. Marco's always saying, you choose how to see the world, that you can look at what's funny and cool, or you can focus on all the things that aren't. So I tried to follow Marco's advice. I tried to turn my dreams to Cassie, but even looking into her eyes, I still saw that doomed Howler falling.